Welcome back to another exciting episode in TechLab YouTube channel. Today we're venturing into the captivating realm of web scraping with Python, a skill that has become more relevant than ever in our digitally driven world of 2023. In this episode, we're going to delve into the nitty-gritty of scraping both static and dynamic websites. If you're just starting out, don't worry, we've got you covered. And for those seasoned coders amongst you, there's plenty to learn as well. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive headfirst into the world of web scraping. We'll uncover how Python can become your most reliable tool in this digital age, transforming the way you gather and analyze data. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced coder, stick around, you're in for a treat. Before we jump into the code, it's essential to understand why web scraping is so crucial in 2023. The digital world is bursting with information, and web scraping is the key to unlocking this treasure trove. Every time we scrape the web, we gather pieces of a vast puzzle, providing deep insights and valuable data. From the latest trends in the stock market to the most liked cat video on the internet, web scraping helps us make sense of the world around us. Think about market researchers analyzing competitors, data scientists predicting future trends, or even journalists tracking the latest news stories. All these professionals rely on web scraping to gather data quickly and efficiently. But how do we scrape this data? Enter Python, a powerful, versatile language that's perfect for web scraping. With Python, we can extract, manipulate, and analyze data from the web with relative ease, and Python is your trusty shovel for this digital treasure hunt. First, we tackle static websites. These are web pages with fixed content that doesn't change frequently. Think of static websites as the old-school, classic web pages where what you see is what you get. Each page is coded in HTML and displays the same information to every visitor. They're like the books of the internet. The content remains the same until someone decides to rewrite or add to it. The beauty of static websites for our purpose lies in their simplicity. Because the content is fixed, we can easily navigate through the HTML structure of the page and extract the information we need. This is where Python comes in, with two of its powerful tools, the Requests library and Beautiful Soup. Requests is a Python module that allows us to send HTTP requests and handle the response. It's our door to the website's data. We use it to request the HTML content of the web page we're interested in. On the other hand, Beautiful Soup is what we call a parser. It takes that messy HTML content we got from requests and turns it into a structured format that we can navigate and search. It's like a map, guiding us to the data we're after. So, how does this work? We start by sending a GET request to the URL of the website using requests. The server then responds with the HTML content of the page. We feed this content to Beautiful Soup, which turns it into a navigable soup object. From there, we can find and extract the specific pieces of information we need, whether that's text, links, image sources, or anything else that's stored in the HTML. As you can see, static website scraping is essentially a two-step process. First, we fetch the HTML content using requests. Then, we parse and extract data from that content using Beautiful Soup. With Python's Requests and Beautiful Soup library, you can easily extract data from static websites. It's a powerful combination that turns the vast landscape of the web into a searchable, extractable database right at your fingertips. Let's look at an example of how to scrape a static website. We'll use Python's Requests library to send an HTTP request to the website and then use Beautiful Soup to parse the HTML content. First, we import the necessary libraries. We use the Requests library to make a request to the website and Beautiful Soup from the BS4 library to parse the HTML content. The next step is to specify the URL of the website we want to scrape. Here we're using as a placeholder. Replace this with the URL of the website you wish to scrape. Next, we make a request to the website using the requests.get function, passing in the URL. This function sends an HTTP GET request to the specified URL and returns a response object. We then parse the HTML content of the page using Beautiful Soup. We pass the text of the response to the Beautiful Soup function, along with the parser html.parser. Now comes the fun part, extracting data from the website. We use the soup find method to find the first div element with the class content. This method returns the first match it finds. If you want to find all matches, you can use the soup find all method instead. Finally, we extract the text from the div using the text attribute and print it out. So the complete code looks like this. Import request from BS4 import beautiful soup URL =response =request. Get URL soup beautiful soup response text HTML.parser. Data =soup find div class of content. Text print data. There you have it, a simple way to scrape static websites using Python. Remember, the specifics of how you extract data will depend on the structure of the website you're scraping. Always inspect the website's HTML to understand how the data is structured before writing your code. Happy scraping! Now, let's tackle dynamic websites. These are pages with content that's generated through JavaScript. Unlike static websites, dynamic websites don't have their content fixed and ready to be served to the browser. Instead, the content is created and served on the fly, often in response to user actions. Think of things like interactive maps, live charts, or even your Facebook feed. This dynamism makes them a bit trickier to scrape than static websites. But don't worry, Python has got us covered with a powerful tool called Selenium. Selenium is a web automation tool. While it's often used for testing web applications, it's also a great fit for web scraping. The magic of Selenium lies in its ability to interact with JavaScript, allowing it to load and interact with dynamic content. In essence, Selenium automates a real browser, which means it can do pretty much anything you can do manually on a web page, clicking buttons, scrolling down, filling out forms, and so on. This makes it a powerful tool for scraping dynamic websites. To use Selenium, you'll need to install a WebDriver, a piece of software that allows Selenium to interact with a specific web browser. There's a WebDriver for Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and others. Once you've installed a WebDriver, you can use Selenium to open a web page, interact with it, and extract the data you need. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Dynamic websites are often more resource-intensive than static ones, so be mindful of the load you're putting on the servers. As always, respect the website's terms of service and don't overload their servers with too many requests. With Selenium, a Python library for web automation, you can navigate through and extract data from dynamic websites. It's a powerful tool in your Python web scraping toolkit, and it opens up a whole new world of data that was previously out of reach. So go ahead, give it a try, and discover the treasure trove of data that dynamic websites have to offer. Let's now look at an example of how to scrape a dynamic website. We'll be using Selenium for this task, a powerful tool for automating web browsers. It's perfect for our needs because it can interact with JavaScript, which is often used to generate content on dynamic websites. To start, we need to import the Selenium WebDriver. This tool allows us to automate browser activities. Let's write. Next, we set up a Selenium WebDriver. This acts like a virtual browser that Python can control. Let's use Chrome for this example. Now we need to open the website we want to scrape. We do this using the driver's get method. At this point, our virtual browser has opened the web page. But remember, dynamic websites often load content after the initial page load. So we need to make sure we wait for the dynamic content to load before we try to scrape it. We can use the find_element_by_CSS_selector method to locate the dynamic content. This line is telling our virtual browser to find an HTML element with the class dynamic content. The text at the end extracts the text from this element. We store this text in the data variable. Finally, we print out the data and close the WebDriver. And there you have it. We've successfully navigated to a dynamic website, waited for it to load, and extracted the dynamic content. This is a basic example, and real-world applications may require more complex interactions with the website. But once you've mastered these basics, you'll be well-equipped to tackle more challenging tasks. And that's how you scrape dynamic websites using Python and Selenium. That's a wrap for today's tutorial on web scraping with Python in 2023. We've navigated the vast seas of data and learned how to extract valuable information from both static and dynamic websites. We've used Python's requests and beautiful soup for static sites and Selenium for dynamic ones. Remember, your trusty shovel in this digital treasure hunt is Python, equipped with these powerful libraries. As we dive deeper into the world of web scraping, let's remember some best practices. Always respect a website's terms of service and robots.txt file. Avoid overloading servers with too many requests and ensure you have proper error handling in place. And if you're worried about forgetting what you've learned, create a personal documentation system, write tutorials, take notes, or even record videos like this one. Teaching is a great way to reinforce your own knowledge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode.